Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with the Azrae, going to be taking on the Druchii. Yes, indeed, Wood Elves versus Dark Elves, so let's go ahead and jump straight to the army composition. Got Glady on a horse here for a pretty decent choice. She's got cheap kit, just the Prey of Anathrema, as I typically bring her. Just to give her a nice mobile kit, and it makes her very cheap as well, so I can go with a nice wide army, which we have done that. We've got 5 Eternal Guards, mix of shields and no shields, 2 Sword Dancers, 2 Spear Dancers, 3 Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, got a Branch Wraith in the center with Earth Blood and the Penumbral Pendulum, and we've also got 2 units of Sisters of Thorn in Vanguard positions. Sisters are going to be very, very good against the Dark Elves, just because the Dark Elves have a little bit of a poor mobility phase. Dark Riders are kind of subpar, light cavalry. They're decent, but they're not great. And, Cold One Knights and Cold One Dread Knights just really underperform. So you can harass them pretty aggressively and really use your mobility phase to try and gain an advantage. So we're going to just get these guys here. I'm pulling up this other unit up and around this way. My opponent's going to bring his Dark Riders over here while I advance my main army up and around this way. My opponent has a couple of Dark Riders here. He's got 2 Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, a K-Knight Assassin with a Dreadlord's with a crossbow here on the old one. Or not an old one, a cold one, sorry. We've got a front line of mostly bleak swords with a couple, or single Black Arc Corsair. Looks like we've got a Witch Elf over here, 1 Hargoneth Executioner, Reaper Bolt Thrower, a Dread Spear, and a single Dark Shard with shields. We've also got a Sorceress with Darkness. Looks like Chillwind. Is it Blade Wind or Blade Storm? I can't quite remember what that one is. And then the Soul Stealer as well. Yeah, Blade Wind, Chillwind, Word of Pain, and Soul Stealer. So quite the kit there. So can see Sisters of Thorn going to be moving forward between their poison arrows and the Curse of Onrayer. We're going to pretty easily be able to catch these Dark Riders, and of course the sisters here have good enough combat stats that they'll be able to put down these Dark Riders without too much trouble. So Dark Riders dropping a few unit models there between the javelins and the melee attacks. We've been able to do a little bit of damage here. We've also isolated this Dark Sorceress here. Nice Chillwind though, hitting those Sisters of Thorn, applying that Frostbite effect. But yeah, they are taking a little bit of damage, but that physical resistance as well as popping that self-buff with the Shield of Thorns to give them missile resistance as well definitely helps out. We've caught the Dreadlord here in a Prey of Anathrema and just going to be opening up with all the Starfire Shafts. They're immediately just going to be opening up shots here. Since this guy doesn't have a shield or any kind of missile block chance, he will take quite a bit of damage from this, but that Prey of Anathrema drops before I'm able to do too much damage. We're able to do about 20-25% of his HP in damage. So, pretty decent. Starting to charge through a little bit with these Sisters of Thorn. Going to be just mostly massacring this unit of Bleak Swords here. Having a really bad time. Likewise, over on the other side, again, just cycle charging this initial unit of Bleak Swords a little bit. Just trying to do some early shock damage before the fighting really gets underway. So now we're just cycling back out. Honestly, probably stayed in there for a little bit too long, but just cycling back out this way so we can get another cycle in. And yeah, we've almost got the mainline forces in a position to engage. I'm pretty confident that the Sword Dancers, as long as they don't get shot up too much by this Bolt Thrower here or the Dark Shards or what have you, that they'll be able to perform relatively well. So K-Knight Assassin kind of moving out to the flank of the screen. He'll pop off some shots and probably get some okay damage done on some of these Glade Guards here. But not the biggest fan of the K-Knight Assassin as a character, honestly. You can see he's taking some shots from the Glady there, and pretty nasty hits there. And here comes the mainline engagement. Unfortunately, those Sisters of Thorn did get routed off, but Sword Dancer is going to be coming in here and just carving through these Bleak Swords. No problem. They're definitely going to be just beheading them, synchronized decapitations all the way across. And yeah, so far so good. We've got the Glade Guards focus firing on this unit of Dark Riders, and then we're going to switch targets to the Hargoneth Executioners once they are gone. Sword Dancers, again, cleaning up the Black Arc Corsairs relatively easily, especially with the support of all these Eternal Guards and so on around. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty bloody combat. I mean, Black Blackheart Corsairs will do a little bit of damage to War Dancers, but War Dancers are just a much better unit combat stats-wise. A nice Blade Wind going down there, doing some damage to some of my Glade Guards and so on. Mainline engagement going down all across the way, and yeah, this unit of Hargoneth Executioners is getting roasted by Starfire Shafts. The Dark Riders did come in the back line, and we're able to get on one of my units of Glade Guards, unfortunately, but we did counteract with the War Dancers and with the Eternal Guards there, so far so good. The other one was interrupted with the Priyavan Athrema, and it's just now getting back into it, getting on this Glade Guard here. I'm not really sure if the accuracy debuffs do a lot, but you can see this this Dreadlord needs to get out of this kind of crossfire here. It's just taking a ton of damage from these Glade Guards, and at this point it's probably a little bit too late. Probably going to get taken down and routed off. Yeah, only about 600 HP left, so very, very dangerous. You can see Witch Elves being routed off by the War Dancers and the Eternal Guards combined. Sword Dancers broken through to the second line, as have these Eternal Guards. We're gonna, or these Sisters of Thorn rather. We're gonna hit them with an Earthblood just to replenish the unit models that do remain while they get into those Dark Riders there. And yeah, you can see that Dreadlord down to only 115 hit points left. Not too much to speak of there. And yeah, Hargoneth Executioners just barely holding out against some War Dancers and some Azrae Spear here. Fortunately, we had to switch targets with the Glade Guards here, just finishing off the Stark Sorceress now, trying to take out the leadership units of the Dark Elves here. That Canine Assassin's still alive. He has taken quite a bit of damage, but Glady's in here fighting up against some of these Dark Riders, as well as her Azrae Spears. And yeah, Dark Riders aren't going to like to take this fight whatsoever. It's honestly a pretty rough matchup for the Dark Elves. I think it's probably one of the tougher matchups. I do think that probably going with a Sword and Board Dreadlord or Malekith, because Malekith has a shield and can heal himself, he's going to be pretty immune to the kind of missile gooning that the Wood Elves are known for. And then, you know, you can also bring area of effect damage spells like Blade Wind and so on. So you can see the Canine Assassin dueling the Glady here. Gonna be a win for the Glady, I would imagine. But maybe with those Witch Elves it'll swing back. But the Canine Assassin, let's see. He does have pretty decent combat stats, but not the best melee defense or weapon strength. In fact, he has worse weapon strength than the Glady. So, yeah, she's going to get in there and give him the business. And that'll be game. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. It's, yeah, it's a tough matchup for the Dark Elves, I think. The Wood Elves have a lot of really nice tools. You know, Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts. Sisters of Thorn are very strong in this matchup as well. You saw the Sword Dancers were able to cut through the lower tier Dark Elf units relatively well. You know, the Branch Wraith did some decent work. And yeah, I did miss one nice Penumbral Pendulum with him, but overall, pretty decent. The Glade Guards got their work done that they needed to, and yeah, overall worked out pretty well for my opponent. The Dark Riders getting in the back line on those Glade Guards was pretty nice. He just needed to get them in a little bit sooner. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Dark Elves roster, and we can kind of talk about some things here of what I think might be decent in this matchup. So the thing you're going to run into with the Dark Elves is that a lot of their troops are meant to be armor piercing, whereas the Wood Elves don't have a whole lot of armor. But in terms of infantry, I mean, Blackheart Corsairs will do reasonably well. They will get cut up by War Dancers, but they'll cut through anything lower tier than that relatively easily. So they can be a decent pick, although they don't have a missile block chance. So I like what my opponent did backing up with the Bleak Swords, although I would honestly probably just take Dread Spears for their defensive stats and the fact that they're better against things like Wild Riders and Sisters of Thorn, which are going to be common in this matchup. Let's see, you could also maybe grab some Harpies. You know, they have decent weapon strength, not the best melee attack, but if you can buff up their melee attack somehow, maybe with like Death Hag or something, they can do a lot of damage, and you can get in on you know, backline targets and so on. They're a decent sort of pseudo light cavalry unit. We could go with something like Malekith, either on foot or on a cold one, so he has that nice missile block chance. We'll take Soul Stealer. And we can cut Doombolt, maybe keep Blade Wind. I'd cut Word of Pain. And Chill Wind, I'm not the biggest fan. I know a lot of people use Chill Wind, and I see it used pretty effectively. But we'll go ahead and keep it on just for now. And in terms of the... I mean, all of these items would potentially be useful, but let's go ahead and hold off for now while we get a few more things. The Cold One chariots can be pretty decent, even though they're kind of meant as an armor-piercing unit. As you guys know, Wood Elf infantry tends to have very light mass, so, you know, Cold One chariots riding through their back lines can do a lot of damage. I do think the Bolt Thrower could be decent, but I would probably, if I was going to bring bolt throwers, I would sell out and go super wide with 3 bolt throwers like this, spread them all across. Granted, this is going to be a little bit tough to protect, but you could always go with some additional, you know, Dark Riders. At least to just, they'll lose against Wild Riders for sure, but they're just there to kind of screen. And now we need a little bit more points, so I'll go ahead and cut Blade Wind, or Chill Wind rather. Grab one more Dark Rider. Something like this might be decent against the what else. I'm just kind of spitballing a little bit here, because I haven't played this matchup too much, but I'm just kind of thinking, you know, you have some nice mobility to help counteract various things. I may want to pull in a Death Hag here. Let's see, how much would it be to pull in a Death Hag without the Cauldron? Witch Brew, it's kind of what you would want to bring her for, but something like this, she's yeah, I mean, if you give her the Cauldron of Blood, she's got Terror, but it's a much bigger target. We would need an additional 160 to get that, so I'd have to do a little bit of playing around with some abilities or something here to be able to afford that, but maybe like that, and then we could grab the Witch Brew, but still 2 gold short, so I'd have to play around with this a little bit, but I do think that the Harpies are a pretty good pick, just because you're going to lose that mobility engagement without something extra to help you out, and maybe Dark Riders combined with Harpies could beat like a Wild Rider, Sister of Thorn. I don't know, I would need to test that out, but again, just kind of spitballing here, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.